Hello and welcome to Christo's Violin Shop. For the next couple of videos we're going to actually go into a little bit more depth into cleaning the instrument. In this first video we're going to go over the actual alcohol cleaning and we're going to completely tear down the instrument. So our goal of course is to try to make this one a little bit shorter. We've got some feedback on the length of the previous one. So if you want to see the full process of everything that we did with the testing, see the first video. But this one should be shorter. So anyway, let's see what we can do. First, we've already looked at this instrument. If you're familiar with the previous video, this is the one that we showed you how to do some alcohol cleaning. But in this case, we're actually going to take down all of the parts and clean them individually, so you can see how to do that. And of course, as we mentioned in the previous video, we have here a chin rest key, and this is actually what is used to remove the chin rest. And you can see this one has been modified just a little bit, so it's a little bit shorter. It doesn't damage the instrument. If you buy one from a local shop, please be aware you might have to modify it so it doesn't damage the instrument. Now, of course, I've already looked at this one. We know mostly what's going on, so I'm just going to take all the strings down. And there we go, a peg, a peg. Now, if you're worried about the pegs coming out, now what you might do is just maybe take a piece of painter's tape, like here's some painter's tape, and just mark each peg. As long as it doesn't sit there for too long, it's not going to damage anything. And you can just put a little piece of tape on each peg. But what we're going to do is take it off and put it back on immediately, so I'm not going to lose those. The other thing to keep in mind is which string goes where, and the orientation of your bridge. So in this case, this bridge has a little stamp on the back of it. Not all bridges do. Some of them are signed, some of them are on the other side. So just take a note, see which way that bridge is sitting. As far as your strings go, do look at the string types. Now, I've been doing this a while, so I'm pretty familiar with which string is which. But you'll see on here, you have a bottom end, which is one color of silk, in this case green, and a top end. And each of those is a different color. So just make sure you know which color is which. Write it down before you take it apart if you're unsure. If you've been doing this a while, you probably know the colors. Now, I'm also placing everything so it's within my little area. I don't want to lose track and mix up any parts. Now, again here, this is kind of like anything else that we kind of get familiar with. If I go clockwise or go this way, I'm actually, here. If I go clockwise, there, that would tighten it. Going this way loosens it. So towards the button, tighten, away from the button, loosens it. Alright, and I'm just going to loosen that a little bit. Now, you can see on this one, this edge is damaged, so it's probably going to come apart a little bit. But again, we're actually going to damage this instrument in the course of these next videos, so that'll be fun. Maybe this can be a restoration project as well in a future video. Alright, so that comes off. Boom. Okay. And then this is usually held in tension, with tension. Now some might actually be able to come out. This one's very loose. If it's very, very tight, just leave it. No point in fighting with that. Okay, so today, this one we're going to do alcohol. And this is going to alcohol all the parts. I just want to show it a little bit quicker and a little bit more detail what you can do. And I know we mentioned if you wanted to take down your parts, this is something that you could do. Now, in the previous video I did show you, cap your bottle, stick it out of reach. If you spill that, you don't want to damage the instrument. Now, you can see I've handled this with both hands. Both hands are now probably slightly contaminated with alcohol, so I don't want to be touching the instrument. I'm only going to touch the neck here, so I'm not going to damage it too much. This also helps. I have a cradle here. I'm going to move that though, because you guys probably don't have one of those at home. So let's just use this table. Alright, so we're going to just get this fingerboard nice down. And you can see that's pretty wet. Really don't want it to be that wet in general. Now, look at this. So this time, remember we just did a brief cleaning last time? Look at all that gunk that came up. That is just dirt. That's not any of the ebony, because ebony doesn't doesn't usually come off with just this kind of brief rubbing down. Now the color in ebony is what we're talking about. If it was paint, yeah, the paint's going to come off. You can't help that. This fingerboard is not painted though. This is just natural ebony. And that's one of the things that we talk about when you're looking at a nicer instrument. What you actually want is ebony. So that's safe. We've got that. Now, let's do each of these pegs one at a time. I'm going to take it off. Just get that all nice and clean, as this is where a lot of fingers will be touching. Now, I've got some dirt on there. What I'm going to do, I don't want to waste a bunch of paper towels. I'm going to fold that over. And in this case, it's actually dried quite a bit. Today's a little different temperature, different humidity level. So, again, that's it. You cap your bottle, stick it out of the way. Alright, let's get back to it. So cleaning that off. And I am going to do this too, the actual peg shaft. I would not recommend doing that unless you really are just trying to clean it. What you're going to see is, look at all that. That's actually not dirt coming off on that one as much as it is some of the compound which helps turn the pegs. Which is also why I still recommend, if you're going to do this, take it to a shop, have your shop do it. They have what's called peg compound. And they'll be able to put that back on. I'm trying to see if I have one within reach. Okay, we're back. I did get some peg compound. So that's what this is. You can get this at most of your shops. Most of the time you won't actually need this stuff. And the reason is because you put this on, and really, once it's on, it generally doesn't need to be replaced. It maybe like once every few years, and I mean like 5-10 years. And all this does is it gives you something between the wood and wood so it doesn't stick. I don't recommend chalk. You'll see a lot of people talk about chalking your pegs. The reason is because anytime you put chalk on anything, it tends to give a grip. However, it's also highly abrasive. So basically what you're doing is you're turning your peg into sandpaper, and you'll end up with an oblong hole, or oval hole, instead of a round hole. Which means over time it's actually going to make it quite worse. If your pegs aren't reacting to peg compound like this stuff, and you're considering doing the chalking issue, you'll save a lot of suffering and pain if you just take it to your luthier and say, hey, my pegs don't fit. Can you refit my pegs? And what they'll do is take a reamer and actually clean out the hole. And if it actually needs something more than that, you might have to get your pegs bushed. Now that can be expensive, so that might not be in the cards for some of these instruments, but if it's a decent instrument, definitely do it. Now, in bushing, that's another episode. There's all types of different stuffs there that you can do. Okay, so that's the pegs, that's the fingerboard. I'm going to go ahead and get the saddle here. Now, this hand's dry now. If you're at all concerned, wear a glove. And you'll probably be okay, or just take another paper towel and just lightly do that. I'm going to get this dirt off there. And again, you're trying to be very careful, don't touch any of that varnish. And there's some other dust in there, some nastiness. Okay, so that takes care of the ebony on the instrument itself. We've got the button. Let's go ahead and get that nice and cleaned off. Now, full disclosure, if this came in as a potentially contaminated instrument, I definitely would be wearing gloves. And with one of the chemicals we'll be using here in a little bit, I'll actually put gloves on for that too. But that's on the next video. So that's it for cleaning off the alcohol on the instrument. And then we've got a tailpiece here. Now, on the tailpiece, this particular one, this is actually ebony. You can tell if you turn it upside down, it's still black, it's not painted. So that is actually pretty nice. Some of these do still have paint on them, even though they are ebony. So if you are using the alcohol method of cleaning these, you will remove some of that paint. Okay, you can see that's shining it up just a little bit, getting it nice and clean. And this is again with alcohol. If you really want to go another step, you can actually remove that fine tuner right there, and it just has a collar right here. So you would just unscrew the fine tuner like that, and then unscrew this collar here, and the whole thing will come off. If you do that, don't lose that collar, put it back together, and that way you can put it back together once you're done. Don't over tighten this. This is just finger tight. I can still move this around just a little bit, just as tight as you can with your fingers. If you use pliers, you actually crack the ebony, so don't do that. Please, please, you don't want to crack these, especially as ebony becomes, the nice ebony becomes more and more scarce. You really don't want to be damaging those. Okay, next we've got the chin rest here. So I know we did a little bit. This one's actually a plastic one. So this one is actually a little bit safer as far as using alcohol on it. But again, like I said, if you're using alcohol on plastic, what it can do is turn the plastic white and strip any paint off of it. Unfortunately, that's not really an avoidable thing. It just depends on the quality of the particular piece that you're cleaning off here. But what we're doing here is, this is where your chin goes. This is probably, out of all the parts, this is probably the part that's going to be the most contaminated if there is any kind of germ or infection on your skin, because this is right up next to your face. The next I'd say would be the button, and then the tailpiece. And then of course if you wipe your nose or get some nose juice on your fingers, then yeah, and then touch your strings, your strings are pretty contaminated at that point too. Now this one's interesting. It has felt on it. That's that's red felt. I don't really recommend that for this kind of stuff, because felt, it's a little abrasive itself, and if you stick this too tight on some softer varnishes, it will damage and stick to the varnish, and it is not coming off. It's just a mess. Okay, so that's all clean and set. It's not the prettiest, and there's still some other grime on there, but it's been treated with alcohol. I'd say this is probably okay. And then your strings, I would say probably clean these off before you even take them off the instrument, like we did in the other video. But in this case, they are off. What you want to do is try to just straighten them out a little bit. Be careful, don't kink the string. You don't want to fold or bend the string. Just straighten it out a little bit, and then you could just take your cloth with the alcohol, just pull that straight through. And when you get to the silk, release a little bit. You don't want to be pulling on that silk. If it comes undone, it's going to be very difficult to get the string to stay on the instrument. Okay, and that's your string. Alright, so that's it for the alcohol really on that one. And if you're interested, please check out the next video. The next video, we're going to go the next more detrimental thing that we tested out before. So we'll try that out. And on this one, we'll probably do the simple green on the top as well, just to see what happens with that. So anyway, if you're interested, please check out the next video and subscribe, like if you liked it, share it, please share it with anybody who might be interested. These are the safe things to do. The next videos we're going to do some of the not so safe things. So thank you very much. Stick around. We'll see you in the next one.